Animal Crossing is now a 25-year-old franchise. New Horizons is just over 6 years old, and the Nintendo Switch 2 just celebrated its 1-year anniversary. And with a Nintendo Direct happening potentially as soon as this week, I thought now would be a good time to look at the future a little bit, specifically the future of Animal Crossing, as well as console gaming in general. If you're new here, my name is Dan, and I've been a lifelong Animal Crossing fan. Since childhood, I played the GameCube version, and I've played every single version of Animal Crossing all the way through New Horizons. I still play it to this day. For me, though, it's not just about Animal Crossing. I've played games across the spectrum. I play games on PC, hundreds of games on Steam. I have Xboxes and PlayStations and Nintendos all over the place. I have so many consoles that I started using them as set dressing for my studio. So when it comes to games and prices, I've seen it all, or at least I thought I did, because Nintendo is about to hike up the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's about to go up $50 USD, and this is unprecedented. Of course, if you've been paying attention to the world around you, this doesn't feel unprecedented. I'm just talking about from a more zoomed out perspective as a lifelong gamer. This is unprecedented. What I'm used to seeing are the prices of consoles and technology going down as they age. I would say Nintendo specifically is a bit of an outlier. They tend not to decrease the prices of their consoles. Instead, later they'll release like another revision of their console that is a little bit cheaper to make, and therefore that will be cheaper. But by and large, a PlayStation 4 would cost at its peak an amount of money when it first comes out, and then as it ages, even as revisions come out, everything just goes down in price because they're around the corner from releasing the PS5, and everyone's going to have that, and they're going to want to offload their stock of PS4s. That's just how the market works. Until you factor in AI and just this insane price boom we're seeing across all markets, but especially technology. The Steam Deck prices went up as much as $300 for some units, and every console has seen massive price increases since their launch, thanks to just everything happening right now in the market. But the reason I'm hitching this video's cart to the Animal Crossing wagon is because the Animal Crossing audience, unlike a lot of other audiences in the gaming space, is really, really unique. And I know this because of my years playing the game on this channel. If you meet somebody who plays Animal Crossing New Horizons, there's a really good chance that you've met somebody that has played Animal Crossing New Horizons and no other video game. At the very least, no other Animal Crossing game. But Animal Crossing New Horizons introduced an entirely new set of people to gaming. New Horizons came out during pandemic-era lockdowns. We all know this, and we attribute a lot of its success to that particular circumstance. Based on the years and years of YouTube comments I've gotten and stories like this, I believe that a lot of people's first introduction to gaming in general was this video game. And I mean, it makes sense. The Switch 1 at the time was not a brand new console. It had been out already for a while. And that means there was a lot of used consoles on the market. A lot of people in America got stimulus checks, and if they were stuck at home and could afford it, they were picking up a Switch or a Switch Lite and a game. The game everyone was talking about, Animal Crossing, which came out at the start of all of the lockdowns. And the marketing for the game was doing its own work. When you have people like Elijah Wood playing the game and asking to visit people's towns and collect fruit, you know you need to be a part of whatever this is. So as somebody who's played games my entire life, I'm beginning to worry for people who just want to enjoy a game like Animal Crossing and not many more, and whether or not they can justify the cost. Because the Switch 2, by the time we get into Animal Crossing, is presumably going to be a base cost of $500. Animal Crossing's probably going to be more than $60, and that's a pretty high barrier to entry if this is just the type of game you're interested in and not much else. So I think the question I'm asking right now is, will the market trends we're seeing kind of cut an entire segment of the gaming audience out when it comes to another Animal Crossing? Because if so many people specifically bought a Switch for that one type of experience, are they going to buy a Switch 2 and do it all over again at these prices? I'm sure people will tell us in the comments of this video, but I would like to think that things have changed a lot since Animal Crossing released. Things that are good. There's a lot of bad changes, obviously, but there's also some good stuff that's happened too. I don't know if you've noticed this, but since New Horizons, it feels like there's been just an explosion of cozy games that have hit the market. And I think even AAA studios like the Pokemon Company have taken notice, because now we have games like Pokopia, and that is a direct response to, I think, the success of New Horizons. So I guess the silver lining here is that while everything is getting more and more expensive and the Switch 2 is about to go up in price, at least if you buy a Switch 2, there's a lot more for you to dig into if you're an Animal Crossing fan. We have Pokopia, which if you're still waiting for a new Animal Crossing to buy a Switch 2, I recommend just getting Pokopia as well, because I'm telling you, if you like Animal Crossing, I don't see how you wouldn't like Pokopia. The Switch 2, of course, plays all of the Switch 1 library, or pretty much nearly all the Switch library, and it does it better than the Switch 1, so that's pretty nice. And if you're buying a Switch 2 now because you're worried the prices are going to go up soon, then this is still a pretty good time to do it, because they could go up again. We have not seen the end of the chaos when it comes to all of this technology being way too expensive. And you're getting this console at the beginning of its life cycle. It's only been out a year. There's a handful of Switch 2 exclusives, but we can expect way more over the next like half decade. So I guess I kind of look at this problem in like one of two ways. Either you're devastated because you do not want to spend this much money on one game, or you're kind of hopeful because you know you want to buy that game and you're worried about making that investment, but you see that your gaming needs are finally being met. We just had the Wholesome Direct, which featured tons and tons of games that I believe would be appealing to this type of audience. Of course, the Wholesome Direct is not an event that's exclusive to the Switch 2 or anything of the sort, but it just goes to show that we are just inundated now, since New Horizons, with games that kind of meet the demand for, hey, I just want something a bit more casual. I don't know. I mean, more games, of course, means you're spending more money, and this is a video about, oh my gosh, everything's so expensive. But I guess I'm just trying to find the silver linings, right? Animal Crossing is, I don't think, enough to justify spending $500 on a console plus the price of the game. It's a huge ask. If I'm going to spend $500 on a personal computing device, it better do more than just be really good at playing one video game. And now that this market for cozy games and wholesome games is so massive, I do think the Switch 2 at least has that going for it. But there's one more thing I want to show you too. This is a page Nintendo updates every so often that tells you how many units have sold worldwide of a specific game on which console, and it goes all the way back to the 3DS era, which is kind of cool. But for the Nintendo Switch, Animal Crossing New Horizons has almost sold 50 million units, okay? It is the second most selling game on the entire console. If you compare any of the games on this list, though, to any game on the Nintendo Switch 2, you start to see just how much of a gap there is between, in my opinion, Switch 1 and Switch 2 owners. I guess there could be plenty of Switch 2 owners that don't have any of these, I guess, but that'd be weird. Most of us have Mario Kart World if we have a Switch 2. Then Donkey Kong Bonanza's in second place, but 10 million copies behind Mario Kart World. Pokopia is all the way down here with 2.41 million copies sold. And when I see this, I just start to think, like, there's no way that Pokopia is going to like sell that much less than Animal Crossing New Horizons unless it's because it's not on the Switch 1. So this price hike we're about to get for the Switch 2 is not doing them any favors at all. I will show you that $500 is probably where the Switch 2 was going to end up anyway, because this page is about what was happening around the time the pre-orders were starting for the Switch 2. And if you remember, they actually had to delay the pre-orders for a little bit because they wanted to kind of figure out pricing. There was like tariffs and all this stuff going on. And so they were like, oh, we're going to hold off a second. We just want to like see where things land. And they say in this like, hey, so we're going to keep the price at, you know, the number we announced, but all of this other stuff is going to be adjusted a little bit. And the price of a whole bunch of other accessories and stuff went up. So now that the base price of a Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be $500, I kind of feel like they were on the razor's edge of doing that anyway, and now they're just putting it at the price they kind of always wanted to put it at. And one nice thing they're doing is that before the price actually increases, they've announced this choose your game bundle. So you can spend $500 on Switch 2 and they're going to give you one of 3 games with the console. So it's no longer the Mario Kart World bundle. You get to choose if you want Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, or Pokopia, which is kind of nice. I mean, Nintendo could have just done what Steam did and raised the prices overnight on the hardware, but they're kind of giving people a little bit of time. It's like, hey, we have to raise these prices, but here's like one olive branch for you if you want to get in before it gets more expensive. To be clear, I'm not trying to like put this in your head as like a FOMO moment. Nintendo's doing that. I'm just pointing out that it exists. But I know people are buying this bundle now because they're at least getting like a pretty decent deal. Pokopia, I think, is a $70 game. So that's like, you know, a savings, which is kind of cool. I guess what I'm saying is that Nintendo is, while everybody kind of sucks right now for raising all of their prices, Nintendo is doing it in the nicest way that they can, if I'm to give them any credit. Like, don't kill me. Just look at Xbox's prices here. That's where they were, and this is where they're going to be. Like, what do you see this? Like, what are we doing? You don't see it. I'm kind of covering it. What are we doing? And this is an article about price increases. Like, here's the first price increase, and now here's the next price increase as of April 2nd. And the PlayStation is going up. Look how much it costs to get a PS5. $650 for a PS5. A $100 price increase from $550, and this was already an increased price. I don't know. It all sucks. It all sucks. I'm very grateful that I'm, fortunate enough to already have a Switch 2. And when I want a new toy, I save up my pennies and I buy an AYN Thor. And, I treat myself to this hobby because I can. And I'm very grateful that I can do that. But for the vast majority of people right now, they can't be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on consoles when food is also very prohibitively expensive right now. I'm getting off topic though. So what I wanted to get to was the potential price of Animal Crossing, whatever it's called, whenever it comes out, the next Animal Crossing game, which again could be announced very soon, but maybe I'm doing the clown makeup meme right now. My predictions are that the next Animal Crossing game is going to be a $70 game. They put Mario Kart World at $80. I don't know if they've done any other game at that price. Everyone clowned on them for it. Mario Kart World, in my opinion, is not an $80 game. When you compare it to Donkey Kong Bonanza, I kind of feel like if you had to make one of those an $80 game, Donkey Kong Bonanza would have probably, been better, but whatever. I enjoyed that one far more than Mario Kart World. And I think that the next Animal Crossing game is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. I think there's people out there who would disagree with that. I think there's people who think that because games like Tomodachi Life came out on the Switch 1, that for sure the next Animal Crossing is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive or Switch 2 in one game and not exclusive to one console. I disagree. If you've ever played New Horizons and you've been on an island that's really heavily decorated, which you can do, they don't limit you in any way, it lags like so bad. You're walking around and everything's just slowly popping in on the screen, and it's really jarring and it's really difficult to enjoy the game that way. So that's how New Horizons runs on a Nintendo Switch 1 right now, and that came out at the middle of the Nintendo Switch 1's life cycle, just about. I will not accept anybody trying to seriously tell me that Animal Crossing will be out on both consoles. I'm sorry. That is cope. That is not going to happen unless they vastly degrade the quality of the next Animal Crossing game so that it can perform on both. That's just my opinion. Feel free to argue in the comments if you want. The last prediction I wanted to make was the player base at large of the next Animal Crossing game, because I think that despite the lower adoption rate of the Switch 2 right now and the price of the console, I think that the adoption rate of the next Animal Crossing game is still going to be very, very high. That's because not only did New Horizons introduce a whole bunch of people to gaming in general, I think New Horizons introduced a lot of gamers to a more casual, cozy kind of game. Like I said, I play all kinds of games on all kinds of consoles. I'm not exclusive with any genre of game at all. There are a lot of gamers who kind of play games like I do, where they play first-person shooters, they play sports games, they play all kinds of stuff, but maybe just never really bothered with some of the more casual entries into the gaming space. New Horizons comes along, and everyone's playing it. So that doesn't just mean a bunch of people who've never played games before. That means a lot of people who played games before but never really gave cozy games a chance. So when we do finally get this next Animal Crossing game and you see it kind of struggling to climb the Switch 2 charts, I still think you're going to see a game that has a lot more players than it would have had it not been for the success of the original game here, not original, but Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Switch 1. But anyway, that's where I'm at right now. This video isn't so much about my opinions though, as it is about yours. I'm very curious to see where everybody stands kind of in this niche. So let me know in the comments. Are you going to be buying a Switch 2 when the next Animal Crossing comes out? I know a lot of people have said that's what they're going to do. Did you already buy one because of Pokopia? Or are you hoping you can get one, but you're incredibly worried about the prices and the market and the way everything's moving? I'm obviously drawing a lot of my own conclusions and painting my own picture based on my own YouTube comment section and stories I'm seeing, but I've never really pitched this conversation in this format before. So yeah, genuinely curious. Let me know. And if you enjoy videos like this one, then here's somewhere on the screen, the one about Pokopia that I did. If you're thinking, maybe I'll buy a Switch 2 for Pokopia, I make the case for it or against it in this video.